Hey guys, today I'm going to be reviewing the app Epocrates. It's a little bit different from what I've been reviewing. It's a drug reference app for pharmacists and physicians, so let's check it out. Alright, we'll allow notifications. I already made an account, so I'll just log in. I actually already saved it. But the password requirement, it was an uppercase letter, lowercase letter, and a number and at least 8 characters, so there was kind of secure, I guess. It's just syncing the content right now. Looking at the loading screen, there's nothing too fancy really. It's just a plain white background, nothing really catches the eye, kind of just straight and to the point. Alright, here we see the home screen. It's kind of situated like the home screen on an iPhone, I think, kind of, with the apps, just how they're laid out. Looking at the top left, we see COVID-19 resources, which is good to have, obviously, very relevant. And we see some reputable sources, FDA, Fierce Pharma, Lancet Psychiatry. These are some peer-reviewed journals. And you have the option to save certain articles as well, if those are relevant to you specifically. We see the drugs tab here. You can either search specific drugs, or you can go by disease state. For example, just asthma, and then it goes into even further subcategories, long-acting beta agonists, short-acting beta agonists. And they have a lot of options too, more than what you would just see in a typical community pharmacy. So this would be especially useful for people working in a hospital, I feel like. Or maybe specialty pharmacy as well, where it has some more of those niche drugs that you don't see very commonly. But other than that, there's also an interaction checker. You can tap to add a drug here. I'll add 2 that I know have an interaction. Cyclosporin and rifampin. Up at the top it says potential interaction found. We'll click on that. Alright, and it tells us monitor cyclosporin levels. Combo may decrease cyclosporin levels. Efficacy may increase rifampin levels. Okay, so this combo is definitely something that you would see in a hospital. So again, maybe more specific towards that. You can also look up more common drugs as well, but it works for both. Then we have pill ID. I'm not going to go into this much. I don't really have a specific pill to look up, but if you did find one, and you could just type in some of the features and maybe figure out what it is. Diseases, that one is one of the premium features. I'll get to that in a little bit. There's a tab for guidelines too. This is what I already viewed, just adult depression. This is more of the recent ones that were updated. So you can click that as it loads, and then it gives you the suggestion. You can also specify more specific patients. So for example, maybe it's moderate, no safety risk, less than 65. Gives you a more specific example for what's relevant, what some things to consider, specific counseling points, and so on. So that's cool. You really have a lot of options as for what you can look up and make the best decision based on the information you have. And this is all free. This is none of the paid features that we've gotten into so far. We have our notifications here, some welcome messages, and then also something from the CDC, some guideline updates it look like. So if there's some guidelines that are updated, you might get them in your notifications tab. Formulary, I'm not going to get into this much either because I don't have a specific formulary to add. You can add your hospital's formulary if there's the option for it. So again, maybe more use for hospital pharmacists in this case, but it's an option nonetheless. Alternate meds and ID treatment selector. Again, these are plus features, so I'll get into that in a little. Calculators, we see dosing calculators here. You can select the dose, weight, frequency, strength for liquids. So let's just say 20. Frequency 1. Okay, so this is for more specific, it looks like, weight-based dosing. So not more not exactly 2 tablets per day. How many tablets do I need for a 30-day span? And more, it's more of that weight-based dosing. You can put in 5 grams per kilogram, for example, for a 100-kilogram patient, and then just view the results. That would be a 500-gram dose. Okay. So again, that maybe is more specific for hospital pharmacists as well. I don't think many community pharmacists are calculating doses like this, but again, just a good option to have. ICD-10, another locked feature, and then there's also a picture quiz. I'm not going to get into this much either, but there you see. Then on the next, some favorites. I didn't add any favorites, but they have that option as well. And then I actually just noticed on the bottom, it looks like they have a scrolling tab with some of the updates that just change every 5 seconds or so. It looks like it's actually from the notifications tab, so that's cool. You get to see your notifications at the bottom there. And I think I missed tables too. They have some tables, again, specific for disease state. I'm just looking at infectious disease, endocarditis, for example. Just gives you some tables for that. Okay. Then you have account info here, subscription level RX. Let's check out the plus features now. Alright, so here you can see it's $17 a month for the plus content, and there's a 14-day free trial as well. And what you get with that: alternative medicine, view info and check interactions for popular herbals and supplements. Diseases, you can consult peer-reviewed disease topics for evidence-based insights. Infectious disease treatment selector, access antimicrobial treatment guidance by infection site and type. And labs, get normal value ranges, collect details and info on hundreds of labs. Okay, so I didn't really see many of the specifics of this, but I think the common theme we're seeing here is this is more geared towards clinicians who are making the decisions based on dosings, which I feel like is more common in the hospital setting. Obviously not always. There's more settings where pharmacists can do things like that, but just generally speaking, Epocrates seems to be more geared towards that focus of someone's career. But again, for $17 a month, you can get specific disease insights, treatment selectors based on guidelines, as well as normal lab ranges. So it looks like this can be purchased on the app can be purchased on the individual basis. So I'm not sure how practical that would be if many pharmacists or physicians are allowed to use their phones for things like that. I'm also sure many hospitals have, systems in place already that have some of these features. But I did look it up, and Epocrates has been offering services like this well before smartphones. They do have systems like that I just mentioned integrated within hospitals. So they have that as a part of their business model as well. Most of their all of their app money comes from people purchasing this, but they have more revenue streams than just the app. So let's get into the review now. As far as purpose, the purpose is to be a drug reference app and kind of an assist tool for clinicians to make decisions. Gives you information on drugs, interactions, guidelines, things like that. So definitely has a purpose. I mean, the healthcare industry is huge in the U.S., so purpose, I'll give it an 8. Onboarding process was pretty easy. There was nothing that really caught the eye though, so nothing really special, just simple, so I'll give it a 5 out of 10. User experience, the app is pretty easy to navigate. I mean, there's only a couple tabs here, and everything's pretty straightforward. The one thing that did confuse me, aside from the COVID-19 resources, there's no exit button to get back to the home screen. It's just the E that you press. That that did kind of confuse me. And I feel like the interaction checker, I mean, maybe just this one specifically, I feel like it's just an extra click to get from potential interaction found to this one. Maybe if there were multiple interactions, it would be different, but just another thing I noticed. So for overall user experience, I'll give it a 6 out of 10. The user interface, it's not really eye-catching again, just pretty simple white and blue, but it is, again, easy to navigate. Everything's right in front of you. You don't have to search for anything really. So I'll give that a 5 out of 10. Engagement, there's nothing really that keeps the user on the app, except for maybe the picture quiz. I didn't check that out much, but I'm sure it keeps people interacted with the app for longer. But other than that, it seems to be just as you need it is when you would use the app. For example, just if you're evaluating a patient and you need to know if a potential drug therapy interferes with an existing medication, that would be when you could check the app, and there's not really a reason to stay on it for that long. So I don't think it necessarily is a bad thing that it doesn't engage you that much, but it's not great at engaging the app, so I'll give it, engaging the user, so I'll give it a 2 out of 10. Data control, the password was kind of secure. You could make it as strong as you want though, so that's kind of on the user. There's nothing in particular really. It's not like you're saving patient information though, so again, obviously it's important, your data, but I don't think there's many opportunities for it to be lost really, so I'll give it a 4 out of 10. It did request to see request for notifications. As far as data goes, that's easy to see in your account info. You can change your password, email, things like that. So I'll give that another 5 out of 10. And operational, that has to do with the business model. And for the app, I think it's a good business model. As far as the price, it is $17 a month, which does add up over time to over a couple $100 a year. But you do get a lot with that. I mean, you get info for your specific disease states, your labs, alternative medicines that might not have much info elsewhere, and an infectious disease treatment selector, which could definitely go a long way in hospitals, narrowing that antibiotic therapy to a more specific option. And the Epocrates team, they do have other business models as well, integrated within hospitals. So overall, I'll give them a 7 out of 10. And that brings the total score of to 42 out of 80, which is right around the middle of the pack as far as apps that I've reviewed so far. So not great in terms of what we're measuring here, but for its stated purpose, I think it's a good app.